At 2 o'clock in the morning, the streets are almost empty. Neon lights reflect off rain-soaked pavement. Vending machines glow in the darkness, and somewhere in the distance, the unmistakable sound of a high-revving engine echoes through the city. It sounds like a contradiction. How can a country famous for discipline, politeness, and respect also become home to some of the loudest and most passionate car cultures on Earth? For decades, Japan's night roads have attracted street racers, tuners, and enthusiasts chasing the perfect drive. Yet beneath the roaring exhausts and flashing city lights lies an unwritten code that surprises many outsiders. Because in Japan, the story was never just about speed. It's about community, craftsmanship, and a unique balance between individual expression and respect for everyone sharing the road. To understand Japan's night car culture, you first have to forget almost everything Hollywood has taught you. Movies often portray Japanese car enthusiasts as reckless street racers flying through crowded city streets, chasing glory at impossible speeds. While those stories make for exciting entertainment, the reality is far more interesting because Japan's automotive culture wasn't built solely on racing. It was built on passion, on craftsmanship, and perhaps most surprisingly, on respect. As the sun sets over cities like Tokyo and Yokohama, a transformation begins. Office workers head home, train stations gradually empty. The noise of daily life starts to fade, and for thousands of enthusiasts, the night is only just beginning. Cars emerge from garages where owners have spent months, sometimes years, perfecting every detail. Paintwork is polished, wheels are spotless, engines are carefully maintained. Every modification reflects the owner's personality. For many enthusiasts, the car isn't simply transportation, it's an extension of who they are. That's one of the first things that surprises visitors to Japan's car scene. The attention to detail is extraordinary. A modified car isn't judged solely by horsepower figures or top speed. People notice everything: the fitment of the wheels, the quality of the paint, the cleanliness of the engine bay, the way modifications work together as a complete package. In many ways, Japanese car culture treats automotive building as an art form, and nowhere is that more visible than in the legendary gathering spots that have become famous among enthusiasts worldwide. One of the most iconic is the Daikoku Parking Area. Located near Yokohama, this highway rest area has achieved almost mythical status among car fans. On certain nights, the parking area becomes a living automotive museum. Classic Japanese sports cars sit beside European supercars. Modified tuners share space with rare exotics. Cars worth a few $1,000s park next to machines worth millions. Yet, what makes the atmosphere special isn't the money, it's the shared passion. Owners walk between rows of vehicles discussing modifications, exchanging advice, and admiring each other's work. Many don't even know one another, but the cars create an instant connection. That's where the idea of silent respect begins to make sense. Because despite the loud exhausts and aggressive-looking machines, much of Japan's car culture is built around consideration for others. Experienced enthusiasts understand that their actions affect the entire community. If a location attracts too much negative attention, police involvement often increases. If people behave recklessly, popular gathering spots can be shut down. As a result, many enthusiasts develop an unwritten code. Enjoy the cars, respect the location, respect other drivers, and don't ruin it for everyone else. Of course, that doesn't mean Japan's automotive culture has always been calm and orderly. Far from it. In the 1970s and 1980s, a very different movement emerged, one that would eventually become legendary around the world: the Bosozoku. These motorcycle and car groups became famous for their distinctive style, loud machines, and rebellious image. Customized exhaust systems screamed through the streets. Wild body kits transformed ordinary vehicles into rolling works of art. Their appearance was impossible to ignore. To outsiders, Bosozoku culture looked chaotic. But even here, there were rules, traditions, and social structures that many people never understood. The movement became one of the most recognizable symbols of Japanese automotive rebellion. And while modern car culture has evolved dramatically since those days, traces of that spirit still remain. You can see it in the creativity, the individuality, the willingness to build something completely unique. But perhaps the greatest influence on Japan's night culture came from the mountain roads, the winding routes known as Touge. Long before social media, before YouTube, and before the rest of the world became fascinated with Japanese performance cars, enthusiasts were gathering on these roads to test both their machines and their driving skills. These mountain passes would eventually inspire countless stories, documentaries, and even entire franchises dedicated to Japanese driving culture. And that's where our story becomes even more fascinating, because the roads, the drivers, and the machines that emerge from those mountains would help create one of the most influential automotive cultures the world has ever seen. By the late 20th century, Japan's mountain roads had become more than just roads. They had become legends. Hidden among forests, winding through steep hillsides, and stretching across remote regions, these routes, known as Touge, became the proving grounds for an entire generation of drivers. Unlike professional racetracks, mountain roads demanded something different: precision, discipline, and complete focus. One mistake could end a night instantly. That reality helped shape a culture where skill often earned more respect than horsepower. A driver with a modest car could sometimes command more admiration than someone with a far more powerful machine, simply because of their ability behind the wheel. And from these mountain roads emerged one of Japan's greatest automotive contributions to the world: drifting. What began as a technique for maintaining speed through corners eventually evolved into a global motorsport phenomenon. Today, drifting competitions attract fans across North America, Europe, the Middle East, and beyond. But its roots remain deeply connected to Japan's night roads and the enthusiasts who spent countless hours refining their craft. As videos, magazines, and later the internet spread these stories worldwide, fascination with Japanese car culture exploded. Cars like the Nissan Skyline GTR, Toyota Supra, Mazda RX-7, Honda NSX, and Nissan Silvia became icons far beyond Japan's borders. Enthusiasts everywhere wanted to understand what made this culture so special. At first glance, the answer seemed obvious. The cars were incredible. The modifications were creative. The roads looked breathtaking. But the deeper people looked, the more they realized something else was happening. Japan's automotive culture wasn't built solely around machines. It was built around dedication. Owners often spent years perfecting their vehicles. Not weeks, not months, years. Every modification was carefully considered. Every detail mattered. The goal wasn't simply to have the loudest exhaust or the most horsepower. It was to create something meaningful, something personal. And that's why the phrase, "Japan Nights, Loud Pipes and Silent Respect," captures the culture so perfectly. Yes, the engines can be loud. The exhausts can echo through tunnels. The turbochargers can whistle through the darkness. But beneath all that noise lies a surprisingly strong sense of respect. Respect for craftsmanship, respect for fellow enthusiasts, respect for the roads, and respect for the communities that make these gatherings possible. Of course, modern Japan continues to evolve. Regulations have changed. Many famous gathering spots face increased scrutiny. Technology is transforming the automotive world. Electric vehicles are becoming more common, and younger generations often engage with car culture differently than those before them. Yet despite these changes, the spirit remains remarkably resilient. Visit a gathering today, and you'll still find enthusiasts discussing engine builds, admiring rare vehicles, and sharing stories long into the night. You'll still see people carefully cleaning cars that most outsiders would consider already spotless. You'll still find individuals willing to drive hours simply to spend a few moments surrounded by others who share the same passion. Because ultimately, Japan's night car culture was never just about speed. It was never just about horsepower, and it was never just about making noise. It was about belonging, about expression, about the pursuit of perfection, and perhaps most importantly, about finding a community that understands why a machine can mean so much to the person behind the wheel. That's why, decades later, the neon lights still glow, the engines still start, and the culture continues to inspire enthusiasts around the world. Now, I want to hear from you. What do you think makes Japan's car culture so unique? Is it the legendary cars, the mountain roads, the drifting scene, the craftsmanship, or the respect that seems to exist beneath all the noise? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if there's a particular Japanese car, road, or automotive story that deserves its own deep dive, let us know. Your suggestion might inspire the next journey into one of the most fascinating car cultures on Earth.